Mhm. Okay. Hi, everyone. Today we'll have the last demo day of Neo Polaris Hackathon projects. As you know, this was our second hackathon for Neo 3. It was very nice to have the second wave of developers coming and developing on Neo ecosystem. So today we'll have 4 projects. It's DAO Cake, Neodao, Bowerbird, and LatchBox. And we will start with Bowerbird. So Bowerbird is a trustless, frictionless DeFi lending protocol built on Neo M3, collateralizing BNEO and lending USDL. All right, William, please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you. Let me pull up my screen. Okay. Does it show?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so I'm the developer behind Bowerbird. My name is William. I actually participated in the Frontier Hackathon as well. So this was a second experience for me. And that was when I developed Lyrebird. Bowerbird in many ways is a successor to Lyrebird. Lyrebird was a stablecoin protocol developed on Neo N3, and it just launched about a month ago. And Bowerbird is going to be a DeFi lending protocol built on top of Lyrebird. First of all, I guess, what's with the name? I think people might think I really like birds. It's not necessarily true, but I think there's a strong bird theme that's already going on in Neo, and I think it's good to have projects kind of perpetuate that. So there's already Flamingo, Lyrebird, Greenfinch, and Bowerbird happens to be an architect of the avian world. They build these things called bowers. That's actually not a nest. It's a mating ritual. So male bowerbirds will build these structures and then try to impress the females. But the general goal was to kind of show we're really architects. We're building out the new DeFi protocol. I'm gonna stop the presentation here for a bit and go to the MVP that was submitted for the hackathon. I'm not gonna go through all of the actions. It's really just to go through what we intend to do. And so Bowerbird at its core is, at least in the beginning, it's going to be a single market DeFi lending protocol. What that means is that if you look at some protocols that we were inspired by, like Compound, you have multiple markets where you can lend and you can borrow. For Neo, I think right now we should probably focus on a single market. One thing being that Ethereum has a lot more TVL right now. And so in the beginning, when you want to grow, you really don't want to split out the liquidity across too many markets. The other reason is that I also wrote Lyrebird, so I really want to see adoption of the Lyrebird USD or USDL. And so the idea is that lenders can deposit USDL into Bowerbird, and then borrowers, at least in the beginning, can deposit Burger Neo as collateral. And we're going to try to keep interest rates low for the borrowers. And the way we can do that is by taking the Burger Neo collateral, collecting gas yields, and then distributing that to the lenders. Just a little bit of, not really a demo, but if you go to lend, you can kind of see how much did I deposit. When you deposit USDL, you get something called BUSDL, which is kind of a deposit slip. And so you just keep this in your wallet, you can trade it, and you can redeem it later for a larger amount of USDL, and that's your yield. This lend APR, right now, it only tracks the actual lend APR based on what's been borrowed. But eventually, we're going to add in support for the gas yields as well. For borrowing, it's a little bit more complicated because you have to submit your collateral. You also have to make sure is your loan healthy, because we're going to enforce a minimum loan to value, probably at 75%. And so if your current loan to value is lower than 75%, then you can get liquidated. And we don't want that. So try to keep your loan to value as healthy as possible. So that's what we have right now. And now I kind of want to go back to the slideshow and talk about what our principles are and what we're planning for the future. So first of all, we have a couple of development principles. One is transparency. I think for DeFi protocols, especially for lending protocols, transparency is a must. If you look at protocols like Aave and Compound, they really open source and run everything through a DAO. And this is what Bowerbird will do as well. All of the smart contracts will be open source, and we're also going to set up bug bounties as soon as is possible. One issue being that we have to have money. And so that's something that we're going to be working on. Sustainability is another focus. And this is especially important now in the wake of the collapse of UST. I think one of the things that Bowerbird will really focus on is making sure that the yields, they're going to be variable, but they're going to be predictable in the sense that you should be able to know how much yield you get based on the amount that's borrowed, the amount that's lent, and the amount that's put in as collateral. And we're basically going to be pursuing organic TVL growth. So it might not be like astronomical TVL right in the beginning, but we do want to make sure that the people who use this protocol are the ones who really understand it and do have the they have a reason for using it other than just like, oh, let's chase yields. And finally, we're going to be trying to collaborate with a lot of different projects in the ecosystem. I think one thing that I found out about Polaris that was much nicer than Frontier was that there are a lot of established projects now, and so we can collaborate with them. One of them that we definitely want to collaborate with is Flamingo because they have a lot of assets that are already staked. I think I also saw like Fidio, seems like a potential partnership if they're interested, so just putting it out there. Okay, so what's the current status? We talked about this a little bit. You can deposit USDL, you can get BUSDL, which is kind of like a deposit slip. You can also borrow. So you can put your BNEO as collateral and then borrow against it. And finally, you can liquidate. So liquidators in this avian terminology, we're going to call them vultures. And liquidators are actually very important for a DeFi protocol because a DeFi protocol is generally going to be trustless. And that's why we need collateral. But the collateral can actually decrease in value. And so you have to make sure that if the collateral decreases too much in value, you have to liquidate the loan. And this is Flamingo converting them to USDL and then distributing that as yields for the USDL lenders. Third one is additional collateral assets. So this is something that we have to be pretty careful about because BNEO has large enough market cap and like lower volatility than the other NEO ecosystem tokens. And so that I think is a very good place to start. I think it's another interesting way to let people know, like if you have NEO, you can vote, you get gas. And even if they don't understand this mechanism right now, if they find out about Bowerbird, they might be able to find out more. We're going to look into other tokens in the ecosystem as well. I think primarily we're going to be trying to look at Flamingo or Flamingo staked assets, details TBD. Another thing that I was looking into was trying to see if Lyrebird, LRB, can be used as a potential collateral asset. And right now I've decided against it. The biggest reason being that LRB and USDL, much like Luna and UST, they have similar price pressure. So if there's a downward price pressure on USDL, you do experience a similar downward price pressure on LRB. And that I think does not actually make for a very good collateral asset. So right now it's not under consideration, but basically any asset that has a natural yield mechanism, I think we would consider. So if you have a token that you think would be a good fit, please feel free to reach out. Okay, so another thing that we haven't implemented yet, but intend to, is a token called BWB. And so this is basically the equivalent of the Aave token or the comp token. And so it's going to be used for governance. BWB tokens generally going to be emitted to early users of the protocol. And so the idea is that we can incentivize people to use the protocol by giving them BWB. We need fiat money right now. And so that would be a very good way to kind of bridge USDL through a fiat offering. We also need liquidity for BUSDL, which remember is the deposit slip for your USDL. And the reason why we need this is because if the protocol utilization is very high, you can have a mechanism to change the interest rate so that people can be incentivized to return some of the USDL that they borrowed, but this is not immediate. And so something that we can do to help this is set up a USDL, BUSDL pool somewhere, and then get proper incentives for liquidity providers so that essentially you have two places where you can redeem BUSDL for USDL. That's it. Sorry, I think I tried to cram too much information.
Right,
yeah, if you have any
fantastic.
questions, no, sorry.
Thanks, William. It's really great to see. We remember just a couple of months ago, you were presenting LatchBox to us, and now the Flamingo pool is going strong, very healthy pool, right? And you are building on top of that. Okay, we have a couple of good questions.
Yep.
Yep, right from the chat. Okay, will it be possible to add FLM as collateral and to get yield from Flunt at the same time?
Yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about. It's a little bit harder than BNEO because BNEO, you just claim gas and it's very easy. Flunt, I think you basically need an agent to make sure that you keep some amount of FLM for withdrawals, and then some amount would be in the Flunt. The reason is that if you exit Flunt, there's an exit fee. And so this will be a lot, like you have to be a little bit smarter about doing this, but Flunt also has a much higher APY. So I think it's going to be a great addition if we can. And so this is definitely something that we're considering. And yeah, I think after Neo, I think FLM is definitely the token that we would like to consider first.
Right, thank you. And then the second question, when will Bowerbird be available on mainnet? And what will be the APR for the borrow?
I think probably sometime this year is a good target. I don't know about like when in this year. With protocols like these, obviously regulatory and legal issues are very big. And so that actually takes a little bit more time than just pure development. But I think sometime this year is definitely a good target that we can have. The APR is a little bit hard to say because I think it really depends on protocol usage. And so we actually want to get most of our APR from the staking yields of the collateral. And so I think if we say, let's say like 10% yield for BNEO gas, which is not unreasonable, it's pretty close to there right now. And then let's say 80% utilization, then what ends up happening is that, let's say like, like 80% utilization, and then let's say 200%, well, let's say like, let's say 50% loan to value ratio. What does that mean? That means that for every dollar that you deposit, you have $2 worth of BNEO in collateral. And then 80% of that is like $1.60. So 10%, that's, I think it's like, yeah, it's actually over 10% just from the staking yields, but that's assuming these parameters that I assumed. So I don't know if that's going to be true, but you can kind of work out what it should be.
Okay, thank you. And then another question, how to set up and run Arbi, I guess it's an arbitrage bot on LatchBox Finance, or how to do arbitrage on LatchBox Finance?
Oh, that if you come to the Discord, will help you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then the last question, more related to LatchBox. And I know recently you had a podcast with Dylan from Neo News Today. I guess you talked about that there. But how protected we are on LatchBox Finance compared to Luna UST? I guess that requires a long answer, but maybe if you have a short answer to that.
Yes, right now I would say we're not that much at risk. And biggest reason just is that USDL has a very low market cap. And so even if you want to sell, like there's not that much. It's like about like $200,000 worth of USDL out right now. And so that's the biggest advantage that we have right now. If someone wanted to dump, LRB can absorb that pretty easily. In terms of the defense mechanism that we're going to have, it's not there yet. So it's going to be probably a couple of months to actually implement it, get it audited, and then get it deployed to mainnet. But fortunately, I think maybe it's a good thing we entered a bear market. So no one's really looking to really grow too quickly, I guess. So the idea is that we're going to do this first. So Bowerbird is meant to increase USDL circulation, and we're going to make sure that USDL has its defense mechanism in place before we actually release Bowerbird.
All right, fantastic. Well, really good to have you today, William. And we will move on to our second presentation. Right, thank you, William.
Thank you.
And our second project is DAO Cake. DAO Cake solves conflict and distrust of profit distribution in a DApp, where members' claims are posted, voted, and approved in a simple, fun way. When it comes to the token generation event, equity is split fairly. The cake share split is always visible at any time, so everyone knows exactly where they and each other stand. All right, Nathan, it's great to have you. I think you are new to our EO ecosystem. Really good to have you today.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for the warm introduction and the outline about DAO Cake. It's actually midnight here in Australia, and I don't quite have the aptitude or energy for a really long presentation, so I'm going to keep this one fairly short, and hopefully that leaves time for questions, because I really want to hear what people's thoughts are about this project. So without much ado, I'll just get straight into it, and I'll break this down into this bit of the formal presentation and then take you through where we intend to go with the product, and then take you through where we're up to now in terms of the development stage. So right up front, DAO Cake, it really is just about making founder contributions easy. And that doesn't necessarily need to be a Web3 company. We're talking about startups in general, communities, where our intention is to bring DAO technology to any kind of organization so they can get the benefits of the decentralization. So obviously, since the middle of last year, really, like DAOs have exploded around the world. You know, there's like 10 billion, I think, in 10 billion at least in treasury. In terms of what's being held there in DAOs at the moment, and everybody from governments and communities, they're all looking at DAOs, and there's a lot of excitement around it, around organizations, communities, and people are even seeing it as being the future of work. And yet, at the core, DAOs are essentially, they can be quite boring. You know, what we're talking about is technically a lot of minutia. It's about proposals, votes, collating that data, managing the treasury, encouraging the community to vote. And we know this because we've done about 6 months of discovery interviews with DAO founders and community members. And, you know, and that's partly where the name comes from, and also obviously about that slice. And so what we're doing is with DAO Cake, we're bringing the on-chain benefits of decentralization, which is trustless tracking of claims, automation around the vote resolution, of course, and all that organization, so the collation, the management of the treasury. And this is all about doing it without the need to actually tokenize yet, because some of these groups, they actually just start out as Discord communities, and somewhere down on the roadmap is the intention to tokenize at some point. So until that token generation event even happens, you may not even have the technical skills in the organization. So the idea is that people can just download an app on the Neo blockchain and just use that app without any technical skills in the team. They can just build out what they're planning to do, get the size in the group to flip over, and turn it into a generated token of their own. At that point, they'll understand a lot more about the tokenomics that they want built in, but we're wanting to manage that process, and we'll also help them in the stages that come after that. But right now, what we did for the hackathon and what we're focusing on is exactly around this stage. So like I said, it's not just about Web3 companies. This is perfectly suitable to any founders, whether Web2 or even conventional companies. So out there in the world, under the indexing systems that are out there, there's about 4,000 DAOs. So we easily estimate that there's about 10,000 more currently in the making. And every startup and community should have access to the DAO model. So this is where we're going in terms of we've got in our team native app developers, so we build native apps all the time. This is where it's going. Is the intention is that we will build this out into a native app, and the reason a native app is ideal for a platform like this is just a slick, easy to use interface. We can even gamify some of the aspects of just going out there and, as this says, go out there and earn some dough. So imagine you're here as Alice. You can open up and you can basically see what your DOU is, which is the dough that you're owed. So this is before tokenization. Potential there for other tokens. Once you tokenize, you may be actually active in some DAOs that have been founded with their own token, so that you'll be able to flick through and swipe through the other balances relating to those DAOs. You can view through here the DAOs that you're a member of, or look for others that you may want to join. And then out here are the things, proposals that are out there for vote. And one of the most common things here is going to be claims. So people have incurred some expense, or they've claimed that they've done, say, 20 hours of work on a particular aspect in relation to the community project. This one here is a logo
Nathan?
claim. Yeah, sure.
Sorry for interrupting you. Are you sharing your screen by chance? Because we cannot see that. Maybe we have to give you a permission here on Zoom.
Sorry.
All right, perfect. Okay,
yeah,
it works now.
Okay, so I shall resume about here. Okay. So this screen, I was just walking you through, this would be an example of what Alice would see. And you can see here the balances on her account. There's the DAOs that she is a member of, and she could just scroll through or view all. And then down, one of the most common features and interactions that someone would be doing using the app would be, say, viewing invoices or statements of claim of time or amounts relating to activities related to the DAO. So quickly by tapping on those, she could just simply go through and vote. But then, of course, there's the action button here to raise her own claim. And in doing so, she can just tap upload a PDF, which is the evidence or proof of that work that's been done. Describe it, of course, whether the expenses incurred or will be incurred, and then for which organization, should already be preset, preview, and submit that for voting. And then this would go out to all the other members of the DAO, and each member has the opportunity to vote. There can easily be built in our roadmap, we have intentions of building some built-in incentivization, because in lieu of having the DAO having its own token, we believe that there should be some built-in incentives here, even just for the voting aspect as well. So all of that's still to be decided in the roadmap, but in essence, this is the same workflow, is that the first people that would get in here would have the opportunity of earning some of those incentives for getting in early and voting. Of course, Alice, as a contributor, she would like to be able to view what's owing to her, so she can go through and see what stage each of those different proposals or claims, what stage they're at. And then, most importantly, be able to see her slice of the cake, so to speak. And then also be able to tap through and see others, other founders, see what their status is, how much of the DAO is released to them. So just to keep in mind, when it comes to the token generation event, there'll be a value there, and then the DOE figure here is really like an arbitrary figure. It's not $1 necessarily. The intention here is that this is an arbitrary figure. So at the tokenization event, we're just talking about splitting that up. So if Bob here is due 28%, that will be 28% of the founding value there at tokenization. So now this is a diagram that was part of the submission, and it just really just walks through what we're talking about here is not overly complex, but there's simple systems that can be built upon and extended. And that's one of the great things about having a C# smart contract, is it's very easy to read for anybody, even if they're non-technical. And that's open source, of course, so it's available there for viewing. online, and it is easily extensible. So just simply building on that same smart contract, there's many other categories of types of work that could easily be added, and following this same pattern, be able to get approval and move those claims through the system. So what I'll do now is just flick over to the demonstration of the product, which is where we're at right now. And so at the submission stage for the hackathon, we had a fully running smart contract that was distributed on the network. And what we've done is take this through now to what is an MVP, and this is suitable to start showing to other founders with the intention of demonstrating and getting feedback for the product. So just to take you through a couple of quick operations, I've left the debugging console over on the side so you can see the types of actions that's happening here. So here, if I was Bob, I can just simply go in, see how much dough is owing to me. I can raise a new claim. Now I'm just going to modify some values here. So for 20 DAO. Submit that. Now, what I can do is just to switch over wallets. If I go over as Alice now. So this is just simulating the switching over of the wallet here, just by entering in the private key directly. So I'm now down here as Alice, and I can see there's a proposal here for the 20 DAO that it's actually come through DOU here from Bob, and I'm going to vote for that. So we should see the contract response here as being successful. Now that might, of course, affect my balance. Here, I'll need to go back to Bob. And now Bob, of course, will have the new DAO approved. So just moving through the app here, we have the proposals. Anybody can just view the evidence, check the amount, see if it's fair, and then vote for it. And the list of votes accumulate down here, so it's quite clear to see how the votes are progressing. There's the claims, so personal claims. So these are the claims that Bob has made, which is accumulated to the value, and then what's actually owing and comprising the cake. So I did intend to keep this demonstration short. I think it's gone a little bit longer than I had planned, but I do want to leave time for questions. So I'll go back to just give you a bit of an overview of the roadmap, but if there's, and only go through this if we've got time. So if there's any questions from the group, I'll turn it over there now.
All right, thank you, Nathan. It's really interesting to have a peek at the back end of this, how it works. All right, there are a couple of questions. So Dylan asks if there also will be a forum to communicate about DAO proposals.
This DApp is really designed around the core piece. There's obviously a number of platforms that are already out there for the discussion. So the intention of this is to keep it light. And so I think that there's plenty of other companies that are managing that process well. But what would be included in this is on the Neo file system would be a copy of that PDF so that is very clear as to what you're actually agreeing to and what you're voting for. So there's no dispute as to what the agreement was. But in terms of discussion, we don't see that as being a place inside the DApp. course, we'll monitor that, but that's our position on it right now.
All right, it's great. Also, with these projects, is good to start small, I think, and among our listeners and on our Discord forums as well, there are Neo communities who can go right ahead and use a DAO for their purposes. What kind of usage do you see for the app? What people can start with?
Yeah, that's one of the, like you mentioned, approval, that pull request would be quite different from, say, a discuss group that's needed for a DAO.
Mm-hmm. All right, and the last question, this one from me. As you probably know, Neo is the only blockchain where you can develop using C#, right? You don't have to learn another language. For you as a developer, is that important? Is that very helpful? How did you find your experience developing smart contracts using C#?
So just a quick reflection is that probably experimented with 6 different blockchains over the last 6 months, most of them being Solidity based. We're also in Rust, various other languages, and every one of them has had a learning curve, whether it be in like obviously EVMs. Once you learn one, and most of them are pretty much the same. There's obviously the libraries and everything around it that is the learning curve. But for me, as a seasoned C# developer, it was absolutely beautiful. And being able to go into Visual Studio and just having the debugging tools and everything just light up there in the environment. What started off as being an experiment in the Neo blockchain, not even sure if we're going to submit a project here. We were able to develop very, very rapidly on it, and so it meant that something that was reasonably sophisticated was able to be developed in a very short space of time. So it's made me personally feel very comfortable in this environment. So we'll keep pushing on with this project.
Fantastic. That's really great to hear. Many projects were developed using C#, and a couple, including Bowerbird, were developed using Python. And Neo also supports TypeScript, I think. All right, thanks a lot, Nathan. And we have to move on to our next project. The topic of the next project is DAO as well. And this one is called Neodao. And Neodao consists of a smart contract and a client-side JavaScript library that allows a developer with only typical website development skills to create robust DAOs on the Neo N3 blockchain. And let's welcome Robert. We know Robert for quite a long time now. Robert did not participate in the first hackathon. You were the host once, so really great to see you as a participant this time. All right, Robert, please go ahead. I think you're on mute right now. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Little bit of trying to find the right thing at the right time. Yes, thank you very much, Dennis. And are we ready?
Yes, please go ahead.
This video introduces the Neodao toolkit. The Neodao toolkit consists of a smart contract and a client-side JavaScript library. The smart contract provides the typical blockchain operations a DAO needs, freeing the developer from learning blockchain programming. The JavaScript library manages all interactions with the user's wallet so you don't have to learn wallet programming. Supports the Greenfinch API, adding NeoFS asset hosting to your DAO with almost no effort required on the part of the developer. And turns any developer with typical website development skills into a Neo N3 DAO developer. To begin the demonstration, we need to give our DAO a name. Let's call it Virtual World Builders. This DAO will be for funding Neo N3 projects that involve the creation of virtual worlds. I'll go over the settings fields. The number of sponsors required field determines how many sponsors a proposal must get before it can be accepted for processing. The number of reviews required field determines how many members must review a proposal before it can be voted on. And the reviewer reward determines how much a reviewer will be paid for reviewing a proposal. The next two fields control the voting process. The quorum field determines what percentage of the DAO membership must participate in a proposal vote for the vote to be considered valid. The yes vote percentage field determines what percentage of the quorum must vote yes to pass the proposal. We will accept the default settings and create our DAO now by clicking on the Create the DAO button. This triggers the activation of the Neoline wallet. Neoline asks us which one of our accounts do we want to use now to pay for the creation of the DAO. We click Done to accept the only account that we have. Neoline shows us how much of the transaction is going to cost us. This all looks good, so we click Yes to confirm the transaction. That's it. In a few seconds, our brand new DAO will be live in the Neodao smart contract and ready for use. We go back to the DAOs list. We now see our DAO, Virtual World Builders, in the list. Let's look at the DAO details by clicking on the DAO name in the list. Here we see the title for our DAO and some of the important fields that a prospective DAO member or proposal author will be interested in. We want to get our virtual world funded, so let's create a proposal for that by clicking the Create Proposal button now. This is the Submit Proposal screen. First, we give our proposal a short description. We enter Funding Request for Neo 3D Live. Neo 3D Live is the virtual world we want to have funded by the DAO. We don't need to enter an applicant address because this is not a proposal for membership. We want 100 Neo tokens for building the DAO. Neo tokens have voting power in the DAO. We want 5,000 gas tokens to fund our time for building Neo 3D Live. Gas tokens do not have voting power in the DAO. We want an additional 1,000 gas tokens for making payments to people who are not members of the DAO. And we are not offering a tribute with our proposal, so we leave that field at 0. We have a white paper and a pitch deck we want to submit with our proposal. Neodao uses NeoFS for hosting asset proposals. To upload our assets to NeoFS, we use Greenfinch, the app that makes storing and managing your files on NeoFS as easy as using your PC's local file explorer. This is Greenfinch, the app that makes managing your files on NeoFS effortless. I created a container for my proposal assets named Proposals. Note, you must set your container permissions to public read only. Let's upload the proposal asset files now using the Upload to this container button to upload the white paper. In a little while, an icon for the file appears in my file list, letting me know the file has been safely stored to NeoFS. Now we will repeat the process for the pitch deck. And there it is. Let's go back to the Submit Proposal page. Without any extra effort on our part, the files we uploaded to NeoFS have been attached to our proposal automatically. I'll click on the white paper name now. This opens a new browser tab with the contents of the file coming straight from NeoFS. Back to the Submit Proposal page. Let's submit the proposal now by clicking the Submit Proposal button. Again, this triggers the Neoline wallet. We select the same account. The amounts all look good, so we accept them. That's it. In a few seconds, our brand new proposal will be live in the Virtual World Builders DAO, waiting for someone to sponsor it. Let's go back to the DAO list page, and we select our DAO again. But this time, our DAO does have a proposal, the one we just entered. I click on the proposal description to look at the details. It shows the fields a prospective proposal reviewer or voter would be interested in. And it also shows the assets associated with the proposal that are now safely stored on NeoFS. Let's click on the link to the pitch deck now. Again, the file is delivered straight to the browser from NeoFS. Now I'll show you the proposal lifecycle. This is the proposal details screen. It shows us the current phase that the proposal is in and what is needed to move it to the next phase. As you can see, it is currently in the waiting for sponsors phase. In the upper right of the screen is the phase details area. It is telling us we still need one sponsor to move the proposal into the review phase. It is also telling us we still need 3 tokens to cover the cost of paying reviewers to review the proposal. I want to point out another feature of the Neodao toolkit. Over here, you can see a badge that tells us the user's N3 address has been verified with the Ghost Market API. This lets us know that the proposer has passed Ghost Market's verification process and can be trusted. The toolkit performs this check automatically. I'm going to sponsor this proposal. I'll enter a short comment to tell people why I am sponsoring the proposal. And I'm going to cover the entire cost of reviewing the proposal. I click the Sponsor Proposal button, choose my address, I approve the fees, and that's it. And in a little while, the proposal should move to the review phase. Let's refresh the page and see. Look here in the phase details area. The proposal has now progressed to the review phase. I'm going to review the proposal so we can vote on it. If we wanted to, we could attach documents to the review using Greenfinch like we did earlier, but there is no need for that now. I'll put in a short comment. And I'm going to submit the review. Choose my address, approve the fees, and in a few moments, we should be able to vote on it. I'm going to refresh the page now and see. Again, we check the phase details area and we see that we are indeed in the voting phase. As per our DAO settings, you can see that we need one person for a quorum and one yes vote. And yes, these numbers are silly because we have a one-person DAO and I am the only member. So I'm going to vote yes on the proposal now. And then I'm going to cast my vote. Choose my address. Approve the fees. And that's it. And in a few short moments, the Neodao smart contract will pay the proposer the amounts that they are due. We have now seen the full life cycle of a proposal in the Neodao system. Well, and that's the presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Please, if you have any questions about Neodao Toolkit, I do want to mention one thing. Usually you're not supposed to give too much information, but the truth is, Neodao is not only a toolkit, but it's also, as you saw, a public website where people who don't have to be developers at all can build their own DAOs. So what I'm co-releasing right now is the Neodao toolkit so developers can build DAOs easily without knowing about the NeoFS or other aspects of the difficult parts of building a DAO. But also there's going to be the Easy DAO Builder website so anybody can build a DAO. Dennis?
Yes, all right, thank you. There are a couple of questions. So first, a short question. Where are the comments on the proposals are stored? Are they stored on-chain or on the website server?
All the short comments that you saw me type in are stored into the blockchain, but everything else, the larger, the supporting documents for either proposals, for later on, we could also do it for sponsorship, but also for reviews. Those are all stored on NeoFS, but the NeoFS resource IDs, which are unique, are stored into the blockchain to make absolutely sure that when you look at something that's part of a Neodao DAO, you can be absolutely sure that it's authentic because the cryptographic chain between the smart contract and the NeoFS assets is built into the smart contract. You know that when you look at a document attached to a Neodao proposal or review, it's solid and it has not been changed by anybody else since it was submitted.
All right, and what about the costs? How much an average transaction would cost to create a DAO and then maybe to put a proposal and a vote for a proposal?
Well, given that Neo's transaction fees are, wow, so much lower than what I think people are used to with something like Ethereum, it should be small. I can't give an exact figure because the token fluctuates, but it's not large, because when you create a DAO, you're not creating your own smart contract. You're just creating a record inside the Neodao smart contract. It's very reasonable.
All right, fantastic. Also, there is a question, if there is a way this can be integrated into other Neo projects, something like, can we vote on a DAO from Flamingo, or if it can be integrated into a wallet like Neoline wallet, do you think it's possible?
Not only is it possible, Dennis, that's the entire point. Like I said, this is two things. And I know because I showed me interacting with a website, the EasyDAO or Build a website, you might think that's what's being released. That's one of the items being released. But that website was built with the Neodao toolkit that any developer can use to create their own web pages, their own styles, and whatever. That's the entire point. It lets people with just plain old website developer skills create their own DAOs without having to know anything about Neo N3 smart contract programming, without knowing how to talk to an N3 wallet, and also without knowing how to talk to NeoFS or the Ghost Market verification API. You talk to the NeoDAO client library, it does everything else for you. But on top of that, I built a website using the toolkit, and I just demonstrated for you. Does that answer the question?
All right. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, we see a lot of very active people on our Discord, and they chat about things. They make some investment decisions. They develop the app. So I think that would be perfect for them. They can go ahead and start small. Just organize a group of people and start working on something, and use your toolkit right away. All right, Robert. We have to move on to our next project. Great, thanks. Right, our last project is LatchBox, developed by Mark. LatchBox is a fully decentralized token lock and besting platform on Neo N3 blockchain. LatchBox aims to protect every cryptocurrency community from rug pulls and treacherous advisors. All right, right, Mark, please go ahead. And by the way, Mark, you are presenting for Neo for the first time, so really good to have you here.
Yes, thank you for having me here, Dennis. So, yep. So, hi all. So, LatchBox is a fully decentralized token lock and vesting platform on Neo N3. So, currently, LatchBox has two use cases. So, first is token lock. Token lock provides locking of NEP17 tokens in a smart contract for a certain period of time. So this is designed for those people who wants to allocate portion of the token to pay someone, or also this is for those people who loves to hold their token for a long time and have no intention selling it. Second is token vesting. So token vesting is similar with token lock, but it supports with multiple unlock periods. So typically this is designed for newly launched and upcoming cryptocurrency project on Neo N3 that underwent resale and have vesting period for the releases of their token for their investor without manually releasing it to them. So also this could be used to lock team allocated tokens and only unlock on the promise period to keep the trust of their community. So LatchBox has own native token, NEP17 token called Latch. So all token lock and vesting transactions are all paid using Latch and gas. So 50% of it will be burned and 50% will be distributed, and large portion of it will go to staking, and the small portion of it will go as a platform fee. So maybe we could proceed on the demo. So here, our scenario for this demo would be someone has created a new project and deployed an F17 token. So let's connect our wallet first. So let's go to the assets. So currently we have Neo, Gas, and Latch. So on testnet, users could buy Latch using Neo and Gas here directly and here on the platform. So, and let's see the asset list or the address assets. So here there's a token called Tiger. So we will just use it later on when we are creating a vesting. So the first feature that LatchBox has is locks. So first we could see all the locks. So regarding all the token that uses the lock token vault contract, and then if we click here, we could see all the locks, including the details, the lock ID or lock index, and then the receivers of that lock, and potentially the unlock date. So also you could copy this link so that the community, or you could share it to the receiver of the lock. But if you are the receiver of the lock, you can also view it here on the claim. So let's try to create a lock. So let's try to create to lock our Neo token. For example, we are locking until Monday, and then we choose to be it revocable. For example, we have 20, and then me as one of the receiver, that this address or this wallet, and then another wallet address. So here, every transaction needs to have a password since LatchBox doesn't store it. So it may take a while. So after creating a lock, so you will able to see it as an initiator, the lock details. And then if you choose to have it revocable, you can revoke it anytime. And as a receiver of that lock, you could immediately see your claims, but you can only unlock or claim it on the unlock date. So yeah. So since this lock has two receivers, so potentially this wallet address could see on the claims lock's claim, my claims portion of that when he used this LatchBox. So the next is for the refunds. If you revoke the token here, and then it will be refunded all the unclaimed token, and then it will be go to the refunds, and then you can claim it here. For the vesting, yes, let's try to have a vesting period for our token. So as shown earlier, the Tiger token, here's the token script hash of that one. For example, we create a 3 period. So for example, potentially we could unlock this on Monday, and then we could say that the team will receive a 10,000 Tiger on Monday, and then for example, this one is the investor one. So let's try to add another one so that we could see the demo. So potentially we could set it, for example, on July, and then add a receiver again. For example, 20,000, investor one. So it doesn't have any limit regarding how many periods you want. So it depends to you. And then add vesting, and then so here potentially you could see the vesting details. So if you are going to show it to your community, so basically I could paste it here in YouTube, and you could able to see it without connecting your wallet. And then also you could see all the details transparently, when will be the unlock date, and then if it's already claimed or not. So potentially you could connect another wallet so that you could see what it looks like if I have, if the unlock date has been So potentially, if the unlock date has been passed, so there will be unlock. So meaning the unlock doesn't claim yet, but all the claim has been claimed by this wallet. Yep. And then And then on the claims, you could, if you are the receiver of that claim, so every period you could also see it here when it is already available for claim. Yeah, I think that's all for my presentation.
All right, thank you, Mark, and thank you for the live presentation of your product. There is a question, if there is an option to unlock the token over a time frame, for example, each day over 30 days instead of once in 30 days.
Yep, and the future version, that there should be an option for that one. So for this one, I just leave it as flexible as it should be, so that anyone could set the date. But yeah, the hassle of that one, it will be a manual thing.
Yep, more like a gradual unlock. It really depends. These days it's more popular, and some projects offer that, like a gradual unlock every day. That would be quite an interesting feature. All right. And the question on another topic, same question for you as for Nathan. You being a newcomer to Neo ecosystem, how did you find developing in C# on Neo? And what are your thoughts about that?
Yep. For me, the experience is great since for me, I'm a .NET developer, so I start working with a backend.NET, and then today I'm doing Xamarin apps, Maui apps. So doing smart contract using C# is very, initially it would be hard because the idea is different when you are doing some mobile apps or things like that. It is different from the smart contract development. So, but yeah, the experience is seamless, and then there's some couple challenges, but I don't think that it is somehow quite a blocker for me.
All right, that's great. We really hope to attract the C# developer community to Neo and other languages, because it's really our special feature. All right, there is one more question. If there is a way to have a percentage vote before unlock instead of time lock, I think it means if it's possible to vote, to have a percentage vote before unlocks.
Yep, maybe that's something I could consider on the future before launching this on mainnet. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, but
all right.
potentially yes, it is a good idea.
All right. Okay, thanks, Mark. And that's it for today. There were 4 projects. And a reminder that next week, we will announce the results of the hackathon. So hope everyone looks forward to that, and see you next time. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.